hit record. So we are a part of a movement called the Healthy Living Revolution, myself and a few other women that are on this call. And we are so excited to just spend some time tonight talking to you about ways that you can take healthy back. That's really kind of our motto. We want to take healthy back in ways that are simple and are doable and even are fun, right? I mean, nutrition and wellness can be fun when we are living our best lives and aren't worried about sickness and everything else that gets our bodies down. We really can live a fuller life. So we're going to get started by talking about some of the trends right now in our world. There are actually two startling trends in our world. And the first one is this, and this may or may not be news to you, but environmental toxins are on the rise. And you kind of have to have your head buried under the sand to not have heard this, but maybe you just don't know to what extent that affects you. But I'm here tonight to tell you it is impacting every single one of us, whether we recognize it or not. We are carrying more of a toxic load today than we ever have in the past, than any other generation that has ever lived. And that is due to many facets, some of which you can see in this picture. I mean, we have industrial toxins, we have toxins in the water that we're drinking, we have toxins in the air that we're breathing, we have toxins from the things that we're putting on our skin. And unfortunately, we have toxins in our food now because they have soaked into our ground, which is growing our food. So everywhere you look, we're carrying a toxic load. The next trend is that at the same time that toxic load is increasing, our food quality is decreasing. And I love this guy. He looks a little perplexed. He's in the middle of the store. And I would look perplexed too, because most of the things you're finding in the middle of the grocery store are not really food. They're food-like products. But unfortunately, that's what fills our stores today. And that's a lot of what people are buying. So when we go ahead and look at the ingredients in those food-like products, many of the things listed here are what we're going to see. They're going to be full of pesticides and trans fats and artificial colors and genetically modified foods. This is an issue, and this is what is making the decrease in our food quality happen, are all of these things in there. And I know for me, when I started my nutritional journey decades ago, really, and just small steps along the way to get to where I am. But one of the things I remember somebody telling me is, you know what, if your grandmother would not recognize something as food, you probably shouldn't be buying it. And the places to shop in that grocery store are going to be on the perimeter of the store. That's where your produce is going to be. That's where other true food is going to be located in the store. The other tidbit that I took away probably 10 to 15 years ago was when I was looking at labels like he's doing right now, instead of looking at things like calories and fat, which is what I was really focused on, because I'm a product of the late, when I was coming into caring about what I was eating and that sort of thing, a young teenager, I was a part of the low fat generation. Low fat was the big thing. Snackwell cookies were introduced during that time, if anybody remembers those. But who cares that Snackwell cookies had like 30 ingredients and none of those which you could pronounce? They were low fat, so they must be healthy for you. So those were the kind of foods I was eating. Well, along the way, I figured out that actually what I want to be paying attention to is the ingredient list on the food. And my goal now is to buy foods, ideally, that have one ingredient, which is carrots, right, or spinach. But if I am going to have to buy a food that is packaged in any way, I want it to have 5 ingredients or less. And I want every one of those ingredients to be ones I can pronounce. So they're probably not going to have 5 syllables and end in 8, right? I mean, that's probably the only thing I can usually pronounce. It's something blah, 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 8. I'm not looking for those. I'm looking for real food. So as we continue with these trends, we're going to see the results of these toxins and this food is that this actually, David Katz shares with us, and David Katz, if you're wondering who he is head of prevention at Yale University. And he says this may be the first generation of children to live longer, to have a shorter life, to live a shorter life expectancy than their parents. And this should be on the news every night. This is alarming to think that we live in this amazing, advanced first world country, and yet the children today are expected to live less long than their parents. or let alone their grandparents. And here we see the statistics about that, right? By age 12, there are children that have hardening of arteries. 1 in 3 are obese. We are developing diabetes at a rapid rate. Diseases that doctors never saw in children are now common. We have now entire wings of hospitals that are dedicated to cancer for children. And somehow we think that this is normal. Unfortunately, the news for us as adults isn't much better, as Dr. Bill Sears shares with us. Dr. Sears is one of my favorite doctors. When I became a mom, I got many of his books. He's written over 40 of them. His credentials are impeccable. And he shares just that the picture isn't much better for us as adults. 1 in 3 women will have cancer. 1 in 2 men will have cancer. You can read through the list. It's not inspiring by any means. In fact, the CDC over the last 3 years has consistently lowered the life expectancy for us. So where it started out 3 years ago at 77, it has been reduced now this year to 74 years of age as the average life expectancy. Okay, that is crazy to me, because at age 44, that means that I have lived over half of my life if I'm going to be an average person, and I'm not okay with that. We have the ability to do something about that, and so I want you to focus. That's why we're here tonight. I want you to focus on that last quote there. 75% of all chronic disease is preventable, and that's what I'm here to tell you tonight. That's why we're here, because we can have hope. So I want to do a little bit of education here. And I want to start with talking to you about what oxidative stress is. Oxidative stress is linked to poor health. Now that term is thrown out around a lot, and you may or may not know what it means. But simply put, oxidative stress is the aging of your body, both inside and outside your body. So on the outside, we're going to see that with wrinkles and brown spots. On the inside, we're going to feel that with joint aches, some other things maybe we might be feeling, but a lot of times we can't see the inside aging of our body, but we can know that it's happening. So we look at this apple, which is a great example, right? When we cut an apple in half, I know when I was a girl and we would take in a fruit salad somewhere, my mom or somebody would say, we should put some lemon juice on that fruit salad. And I always wondered why I was doing that. I knew it worked. But I have found out now that it works because that lemon juice is an antioxidant, right? And an antioxidant is what fights oxidative stress. So oxidative stress is happening every single day in our body. Our bodies are made to handle it. Good things and bad things can cause it to happen to us, right? Breathing causes oxidative stress. Exercise causes oxidative stress. Those are good things, obviously, that we do. Being pregnant causes oxidative stress. There are negative things too, right? Smoking, drinking, eating poorly, all of those things. But the one thing that we all have to combat it with is the antioxidants. And what that does is antioxidants come into our body, and just like they stop the browning on the apple, they stop the aging in our body. They go ahead and they connect up with those free radicals, and they actually neutralize them, and they make them so they're not harmful and bouncing off the walls in our body, and our body can actually take those and detox with them. So antioxidants are what we need. Now, you may or may not know where you get those from, but the only place that we get antioxidants is in our produce. That's the place that we're going to get them, in our fruits and our veggies and our berries. That's what God has given us to combat these toxins coming at us. However, today's mass-produced produce is packing a much less nutritional punch, and there's a couple of reasons for that. So we're going to need 7 to 13 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, which is a lot. But unfortunately, because they're not as nutritionally packed, we actually probably need more than that. And a couple of reasons for why they're not packing the nutritional punch that they used to. The first one is soil depletion. And I do not have time to go into that tonight, but trust me, I watched a 7-part documentary series on it. It's a real thing. We have depleted our soil. We have not let it rest. We have been interested in mass producing, and therefore, and we'll get to this on the next slide, we have food that is basically anemic. The second reason that we are not getting what we used to in our fruits and vegetables is this. They are no longer ripened on the vine. The only way you're going to get vine ripened fruits and vegetables is if you grow them yourself, which I totally encourage you to do. However, especially if you live in Michigan or St. Louis, you're not going to be able to grow things year round, right? But we all know that a vine ripened tomato from our garden tastes completely different from a tomato from Chile that we're buying on the grocery store shelf. And here's why. And I did not know this. And if there's one thing you leave with, and hopefully there'll be a few, but one of these things I want you to remember tonight is this. Our fruits and vegetables are not vine ripened. And this is a big deal because 90% or more of the nutrition in a fruit or a vegetable or a berry comes into the fruit, vegetable, or berry when it's ripe on the vine. So we can pick it before, we can gas it in a truck, we can ripen it on our counters, but it still will not have the nutrition. It may get softer, but it's never going to have the nutrition it was supposed to have from the plant that was going to wait to give it all of its nutrition right at the very end. That's a big deal. Then this next slide goes into a little bit more of what's happening here. In 1953, this bowl of spinach was delicious. And unfortunately now, to get the same nutritional content as you did then, you have to eat 53 bowls of that same spinach. And that was in 1997. We can't even fit the bowls of spinach you need to eat. And that's just iron, right? That's the iron content. Fruits and vegetables are full of phytonutrients, not just iron, and they're all packing less punch for you. I believe that that slide right there really explains why we're seeing the decline in our health. So what we did back in the 1950s and the 1960s is we were realizing even then that people were getting sick. And so we thought, you know what, we're going to figure out this food thing and we're going to create vitamins. So the government decided, I think it was 1958, that they had figured out the 12 essential vitamins and minerals. We all heard of those, right? Because forever our cereal was fortified with those. They were the 12 essential vitamins and minerals. And we've been taking vitamins ever since. But as you can see from the first slides, people aren't getting healthier from taking vitamins. So what we have discovered in the years and decades since is that whole foods have way more than 12 essential fruits and vegetables. I'm sorry, they have way more than 12 vitamins and minerals. I'm looking at my fruit and vegetable there. They have way more than that. They actually will probably never discover how many phytonutrients are in our whole foods. It's kind of like Galileo with the stars, right? In the beginning, he thought there were something like 300. Obviously, we found out he was way low on that estimate. So an apple, for instance, that's shown here in this slide, has over 20,000 phytonutrients. They haven't even named them all. I think they've named about half of them. But here's the deal. They all work together. They all work synergistically together. And so you may know, depending on how nutritionally minded you are, that when you go ahead and take calcium, let's say just for instance, you're going to take calcium. Well, calcium is not going to work in your body and go to the right place unless you have magnesium. And those two aren't going to work together in synergy and go to the right place unless you also have vitamin D in the right amount. And the vitamin D isn't going to work unless you have K2. And the list goes on and on and on. And so we are finding that when we isolate these vitamins and we make them in a lab and we try to duplicate what nature has done, they don't come near close to doing in the body what whole food does. You know what? We weren't given vitamins to run our body. We were given food. And so when we eat more of that, good things happen. And as this slide says, more matters. When I was a girl, it was 5 a day. That's what the government recommended, 5 a day. Then it became 7 to 13. And if you are pregnant or exercising or fighting any sort of disease, it's 16 to 20 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, which I don't know about you, but there is absolutely no way I'm getting that into my diet every day. There's no way I am preparing it, purchasing it, and having time to eat it, okay? So what we found, and we're so excited to share with you, is this a beautiful, beautiful array, one simple change we call it. I mean, I look at this and I'm just blown away by the amazing color and variety and just awesomeness of what is Juice Plus. And so 25 years ago, Juice Plus hit the market. And I want to tell you just a little bit about how it happened. There was a doctor by the name of Smokey Santillo who, way kind of before his time, was helping cancer patients to heal using juice, using juicing. That was one of his main healing techniques, if you will. Well, he had a father who ended up with lymphoma and was given 3 weeks to live. Dr. Smokey was traveling at the time. I think he was out of the country. By the time he got to his dad, they had told him he had 3 weeks to live. They had taken out his spleen. There was a lot going on. So, hold on just one second, sorry. Anyway, he checked his dad out of that hospital. He took him back to his office and he started pumping him full of fruits and vegetables and berries. And he did it by including the pits and the peels and the seeds and the rinds and everything in it to make a more powerful juice. And his dad started getting better. And not only did he not live 3 weeks, he lived 6 more years and had a high quality of life. But Dr. Smokey realized he was onto something, and Juice Plus was born. So I want to tell you quickly about the 3 things that set it apart. The first thing is that it has a whole food label. And so if I grab my Juice Plus here and I show it to you, this is huge, okay? Because if you turn this bottle around, you're going to see a supplement. I'm sorry, you're not going to see a supplement label. You're going to see a nutrition label, just like you would on the back of your food. This is completely different than anything else out on the market. You could go to GNC and you could search and, you know, aisle after aisle and shelf after shelf, they're all going to be supplements. They're no longer food. It takes a lot to just be food. It can't be changed. It can't be nothing added to it. Juice Plus is just food. It has all of those phytonutrients on that other slide. It's non-GMO, it's dairy-free, it's gluten-free. The next part that makes us unique is also on the back of that is an NSF certification. This is a big deal. Only 1% of all vitamin and supplement companies have an NSF certification, and this is why. It's expensive and hard to come by and hard to meet. They test at every level. They test at the farms, they test in the facilities, they test at the end. They're testing all along the way to make sure that anything that they say is not in it is not, and everything that they say is. Something that just happened really exciting in our Juice Plus world is that the USA volleyball team that supplies our Olympic team with its athletes just partnered exclusively with Juice Plus as their only supplement that they recommend that their athletes take. This is a big deal. This alone says, I mean, athletes have to be so careful about what they put in their bodies. They've never aligned themselves with another supplement company because they just want the very best, and they have done that with Juice Plus, which is huge. The last thing that sets us apart is our clinical research. There are over 35 published clinical studies done on Juice Plus. It is the most researched nutritional product in the world. You will find more research on Juice Plus than pretty much any pharmaceutical drug out there, which is amazing. So these universities, this isn't published in like a Juice Plus university. This is published at Yale University. This is published at MD Anderson, at Georgetown, at top universities around the world. So this is exciting. One of the studies that I love was published in the Journal of American Cardiology. They basically divided 3 groups of people that wanted to measure their brachial arterial constriction. What they found is after 28 days of being on Juice Plus and doing nothing different, if you look at the far right of your screen, they found that the group that was on our orchard, our garden, and our vineyard blends had reduced their constriction by 98%, meaning their body was no longer working hard after a high-fat meal. 4 to 6 hours after a high-fat meal is when most heart attacks are occurring. So the fact the body was not having to work as hard because we were flooding it with good things, and more of good can do powerful things in the body. We also have shakes. I'm going to kind of skip over that tonight, but they're amazing. They're the best fast food. I have one of these every day. My children love them and ask if they can buy them from me because I won't let them have them because they're, you know, like I have 8 children, so everybody cannot be having a shake every day. But they adore them, and so do I. There's 15 more whole plants. Again, not a supplement, it is whole food. And finally, our omegas. So a lot of you may be bridging a gap with fish oil, but fish are toxic, unfortunately, because of our oceans. So what Juice Plus did was cut out the fish and went straight to the algae, which is where the fish get their omegas anyway. And these are a wide spectrum. They have not just omega-3, but omega-6, 5, 7, and 9. They are great for brain health. We cannot make them ourselves. We have to get them from food, and this is a great source that makes it super easy. And Juice Plus, the best part about it is it's so affordable. You can see here, you know, there's different ways to get started, but I do want to highlight that kids are free. Kids between the ages of 4 and 18 can take Juice Plus for free, which is amazing. You can talk to whoever invited you to call more about that. But boy, we spend more on a bad habit at Starbucks perhaps, and just be able to shift some of that to a good habit with Juice Plus. So I want to end with this. This is from Dr. Richard Dubois, who is a doctor of infectious diseases, head of infectious diseases in Atlanta, Georgia, who says this: there is nothing available anywhere else in the world with or without a prescription that has been proven to do in the body what Juice Plus does. So at this point, I want to throw this, if you want to unmute yourself, Jenny, and just share real briefly what your experience with Juice Plus has been, that would be awesome. You can just unmute yourself. That would be great. There you go.
Yes, thank you. So yeah, my close friend, well, first of all, Bree, myself, and Andy were all so happy you guys are on, and Julie, of course, too. And Andy, she's the one who started sharing with me about Juice Plus, and just hearing her testimony about it, because she was struggling with migraines. So I kind of knew her during that time of when she stopped having them, when she had started on Juice Plus. So that alone kind of caught my attention. And then hearing your story, Julie, is the other part that definitely got my attention. But basically I thought, okay, I was already an ingredient girl, and I totally got the effects of ingredients on our health. I understood that 20 years ago. So I already knew that food mattered. I already knew that ingredients mattered. So I was totally like, I need to get Jocelyn and I on this. So when I got pregnant, it just, you know, it kept going even more to, I knew I wanted to, you know, give my child a healthy lifestyle. And when she was born, I put her on very strict, I put her on a strict diet. You know, I didn't give her sugar. And I started going to a chiropractor. We were doing preventative care immediately. But what was happening was she was still picking up colds, and that was it was disappointing. I had her on the probiotics and the digestive enzymes and all those things. And I tried to do everything on my end, but I was kind of like, I feel like her immune system should be a little better. And basically the chiropractor knew that too. She was taking she was trying to get her to eliminate more. That's why she had her on the probiotics and the digestive enzymes. So basically, from that point, when we started on Juice Plus, it had only been about 2 weeks, and we went to a friend's house, and she had, I think 3 or 4 of her kiddos had a nasty cough, and we stayed there all week. And for the first time, Jocelyn did not get sick. And I was like, wow, okay. And neither did I. So that really floored me. I'm like, wow, that was enough for me. But to want to stay on it. And then basically from there, when I was into about week 4, I noticed that I quit craving sugar. And when I had gotten pregnant, I got really bad onto sugar, and it led into my nursing too. And also with my brain fog when I had gotten pregnant. And I heard that the omegas could help with the brain fog. So that was my story with that for as far as our testimonies go. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Jenny. That is awesome. It's so great to hear that even in a really short time, you have seen a change in your body. And I know for us, we have just seen more and more as we have continued to take our Juice Plus, or eat our Juice Plus, as I say, because it really is food. So
well, and I forgot to say that Jocelyn, she's eliminating now every time she eats almost, which is amazing. We have not seen that the whole 2 years that she's been alive. So yes.
That is awesome. Thank you for sharing so much. And if you want to okay, you muted yourself again. Awesome. Bree, if you want to hop on and share with us, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm so glad to be here.
You know what, Bree? We are having a hard time hearing you. I don't know if you can move closer to to your computer or your phone?
No?
Mm-mm.
No? No? Can you hear me?
You can go ahead and try again. If not, that's okay.
Um,
Yeah, you know what? For whatever reason, it is not connecting this evening. So I am so sorry,
Okay.
but that is okay. I'm going to go ahead. I'll just wrap up the call and share real briefly my own story and why, as a mama of 8 and, you know, have a few things going on in my world, why it would take time to share this product. And that is because a few years ago, I was on this nutrition journey and I thought I had it figured out. And I'm telling you, one year I read like 50 books. Well, I actually read 85 books. And I think 50 of them were on nutrition. I just have a passion for this area and wanting to, it's a ministry to my own family. And so here I was, kind of thought I had, you know, knew what I was doing and we were doing well. But then I had a son who at the age of 2 was rushed to the hospital with what would become a series of very severe asthma attacks, and trying to figure out what was at the root cause of this. It took several times of him being hospitalized before they gave us the diagnosis of asthmatic. But meanwhile, I'm researching and I'm seeing that it's autoimmune. Asthma is actually an entry-level autoimmune disease. It's an imbalance of the immune system. Well, what in the world would cause that? You know, and why is he responding differently? And he's my 6th son and I've never had this before. Well, we're at the doctors and they're telling us, I'm sorry, ma'am, you're going to have to put him on daily steroids. And you know what? In my research, daily steroids were just not an option. To do that daily for a 4-year-old was, to me, not a great long-term solution. That was going to be a crutch for him. It may manage his symptoms, but it wasn't going to change his lungs. It was going to be a crutch that he could begin to rely on. But I wanted to find a solution that would actually bring him out of this inflammatory state that he had worked himself into. So I have a neighbor who had been sharing with me about Juice Plus, and I had been politely declining. You know, I was interested in her. She's a great girl, and I wanted to hear all about it, but I really didn't think about Juice Plus because I thought, what is Juice Plus going to do for my, you know, my child's asthma? Anyway, when faced with steroids or Juice Plus, and Juice Plus was free, mind you, because the child can take it for free, I said, okay, why not? We're going to try Juice Plus. So we started giving him fruits and vegetables in a capsule, and we kept waiting because, you know, every few months he had these horrible bouts of asthma. I took all the steroids, and I put them in the back of the cupboard in case we got into trouble. But I never had to pull them out again. We kept waiting, and we kept waiting. And it's not that he didn't get a little tightness in his chest again. But after 3 months on the Juice Plus, when that next like flare up happened, it wasn't as severe. We managed it with essential oils, and every few months it would kind of happen again. But now here we are 2 years later, and it's been 10 months since we've had anything happen, and certainly over 2 years since we see the inside of a hospital. So Juice Plus has been that extra something for him, those antioxidants every single day flooding his body that has strengthened his lungs. And I'm here to tell you, I believe fully that if we had given him the steroids, we'd still be using steroids and he would still be having these issues. So that was enough for me to look into, you know, wanting my whole family to be on it. And we are so excited about Juice Plus, the product. I will take it for the rest of my life, and the company whose whole mission is really to help people take healthy back. And so I want to just end this call by telling you there are 3 choices here, right? The first one is you go to your store and get excited about buying fruits and vegetables, but more importantly, maybe now in this season, go to your farmer's market and find fruits and vegetables that actually are ripened on the vine. So that's your first step. Second step, if you are interested in anything that we talked about, get with the person that invited you. I'm sure they would love to share more with you about how you can get started. It's really, really simple. And it is one simple change that you can do that leads you more towards health than disease. Because I want to leave you with this. There's no neutral when it comes to our health walk. Every day we're moving more towards health or we're moving more towards disease. And we just kind of outlined how we have this great toxic load. We have to be doing something on a daily basis to offset that. Otherwise, slowly but surely, that's going to take us down. So the second thing is talk to who invited you. And the third thing is maybe you're thinking about somebody, my mom, my sister, my best friend, they need to hear about this. We would love to help you connect them with us as well. So thank you so much for taking time out of your night this evening. We're so glad to have you had joined us. So if you want to unmute yourself and say goodbye, we'd love to do so.
Thank you.
Yes.
Goodbye.
That was
Thank you.
Bye.